I am so excited about today's video because I have a table full here of my favorite things from this year. Over the last couple weeks, I've just been making notes of things that I've either constantly been grabbing and using throughout the year or things that I've been repurchasing multiple times because I've been blowing through them. So let's just kind of go through these, and I'm going to show you some normal art supplies and some things that you would not really think of being on somebody's favorite list, but they're my favorites. So let's first start with some things that I can show you and then move out of the way to make room. I will have everything, probably most everything, anything that I can list, I will list it below with links. I have been reaching for these very cheap oil pastels a lot this year. These are Pentel. I break them. I break most of anything that I get that comes in some kind of stick format. I like to break them in thirds because I like to work tiny. That also gives me one to put in a travel set, one for my studio, and then the last bit I know to reorder. This is not a set that you can buy the individual colors, which kind of stinks, but the set is so stinking cheap that it just doesn't matter. I think these are a great set for oil pastels. You don't need to buy expensive ones. I find that I reach for these the most, probably because they are cheap and they just also have a really great range of colors. So this is the set that I keep here in the studio, and then this is my little travel box. And I just throw them all in there. It's kind of fun to like root around, and I don't mind that they kind of get mucky and a little dirty. I like color like that to transfer. So those are my oil pastels, my cheap ones. I've used these for years and I love them. Let's see, what's next? Let's talk about favorite pencil sharpener. Actually, let me dump this out. This is my all-time favorite pencil sharpener. What is it? It is Coom, and I love it because it has two. It has a small and a little bit larger hole. Most people think that that's for a larger pencil, but it's not. It's meant for you to sharpen the first one like this. You go to the first hole and it basically takes a lot of this material off. I really like a nice long pencil part right there. I don't know what you call that pencil part, but I like it to be long. Most pencil sharpeners make it real squatty. And then this one sharpens the very tip. So you just get a nice sharpen. I absolutely love this pencil sharpener and I freak out when I can't find it. I bought 3, but I feel like I need to have about 6 around the house. This is my second favorite pencil sharpener. I keep these in a lot of places, and it has a small hole and a larger hole. This is meant for a larger pencil, which is nice. I can't remember if this works with my really large ones. Yes, so my really chunky pencils, it will work. I like it, but it is a little bit shorter. It makes the pencil part, like I was telling you, you get a shorter sharpened part there. It still sharpens nice. I like that it's small. It's made from the same company. Okay, let's move on to a couple random weird favorites from this year. I love tuna cans. I find that I use them for all kinds of things. Not only are they useful, but when you turn them around, they make you smile because they've got cute, things like that on them. I use them for palettes all the time for mixing my acrylics in, and I use them as trash cans all the time. I have these all over my desks. I use them for pencil sharpener shavings. Oh, look, there's a feather from a bird that got in our house the other day. And just trash cans. I just stack them up and I use them for all kinds of things. The other palette that I've been loving and using a ton this year are yogurt lids and Folger coffee lids. They just make great palettes because you can squeeze the color up here at the top part and then mix down here. And I have a ton of these just stacked up, and I try to keep kind of like a green palette, and this is everything palette. I use these for my gouache, and so it can just dry, and then I can reconstitute this anytime I want. So I'm not wasting any paint. Love that. Okay, let's move things out of the way as we talk about them. Let's see. Let's talk about Emma Carlisle's book. This was definitely a favorite from the year. Emma Carlisle put out 2 books. This one is a honker-doodle. It's big. It's big and it's amazing. I don't have the other book. I did order both books, but my mom has the other one right now and is looking at it and enjoying it. Inspiration for miles. I mean, worth every penny. I have looked at this book, I don't know how many times, well, both of them. They're just make my eyeballs happy, give me inspiration, remind me to just keep drawing and painting and going and going. You get to see her progress in here. It's just, I really can't say enough. Can't say enough good things about that. Okay, let's talk about a couple favorite sketchbooks from the year. My ultimate favorite is the Talons, the Art Creations Talons sketchbook. I get them in this size, which is like the 5 by 8-ish or something like that. And I also get them in this size. Hold on, I meant to have this ready. This size is, what is this, like 8 by 11, I think? Yeah, so there's some of the information. Sorry, it's like reflective. This year, I've been using the smaller size a ton. I used to have a really hard time working in this size, and then, I don't know, I just kept making myself work in it, and now I love this size. I feel like I can get a lot more sketches done when I'm out on location someplace instead of a bigger page, and I've just really been enjoying that size. These sketchbooks have thin pages. They're cream and smooth-ish. Well, they're smooth, but I mean, they've kind of got like a coating to them, which I really, really love. And you can use anything in this. This is gouache. I mean, I use all the mediums in here on these, and they take a punch. I can't say enough good things about the paper. This is basically all I buy anymore. I don't buy Moleskine really anymore unless it's the jumbo size Moleskine, but these are my go-tos. But with that said, I have been also enjoying, what is this, Ranger? Let's see, I feel like it's called something else though. I don't know why sketchbooks make it hard to find the info. I'll put a link below, but that says Ranger. I think it's called something else. Somebody sent me one of these as a gift, and I feel like I kept the information. Oh, maybe I put it in here. Okay, no. I'll have a link below. I don't love this landscape style. I say that, and I do find that I use it at times for different things. But I loved this one so much that I bought this more portrait style. They're both pretty large. And I really like the paper. It's cream, it's smooth, it's quite thick, and it will take a beating. All right, let's see, what else could we talk about quickly? Let's talk about soft pastels. Soft pastels have been a new favorite of mine this year. This is my at-home set. Again, I break these, I take the wrapper off. All the things that I take wrappers off of, what I do, I make a little color chart. I have a wall filled with color charts. I put what the medium is, and then I just put the color numbers. So that way I can just swatch a piece of paper and match it to the color, and I don't have to keep the papers on. So this is a mixture of a bunch of different pastels. It's mainly though this UNISON landscape of 18. I really like it. I love the UNISON. I just feel like you cannot go wrong with it. There's a couple other brands I have been liking, but UNISON is just an all-around great one. I use the box like this for my travel ones. I have cool, warm and cool here. I just use like jewelry boxes and put it in there and put some of this fluffy stuff on top. And I like the box because it comes with this cover, and I can just slide it like that, and it keeps it safe. I'm not going to go through the particular colors that I've been enjoying for those because I just feel like that landscape set has such a great set of colors that you just really can't go wrong. I use all of them. I want to save the things that I'm going to swatch for you for last So let's talk about water brushes. I've definitely found that the Derwent water brushes are hands down my favorite. They work great. They have this push button. They're easy to fill. I found that some of them are just so stinking hard to get water in there. And I mainly use, I buy the just kind of round, the largest round, and this flat. I find that I use the flat the most. This one right here is filled with ink. That's why it should be clear or like white, but I have ink in it. And I never can have enough of these on hand. I always find that I either have something in it or I can't find it. So I do buy a bunch of these. I bought so many of these, and I also give them away a lot because, I don't know, I just have friends or kid friends that are like, ooh, and I'll be like, here, you can have that. So the best water brushes, hands down. Don't buy anything else, buy these. Okay, let's talk about markers. I've been using markers a lot this year for layering up in my sketchbook. There's two brands that I like the most. Tombow, I bought, I think maybe last Christmas. I got it for Christmas, the really big set. I don't love buying sets because there's usually a bunch of colors you don't end up using, but I find that that's just a good way to then have all the colors and be able to figure out what you want to use. This 942 I use a lot for first just kind of laying out the color or like the shape. Let's say it's a figure. I'm able to just kind of map it out. It's just a nice light color, and basically everything goes on top of markers. Let me know if you would like me to do a video of my favorite colors of Tombow. I can do that because I'm not going to do it in this one. I am going to show you some of my favorite Neo colors, but let me know about that. The other markers I've been using a lot are the ECOLINE. They're watercolor brush pens. You can buy refillable ink for these, or watercolor, not ink. And it comes in a little eyedropper thing like this. The reason I like these is because you can take them apart. So there's the nib. That's what the nib looks like. But you can unscrew it. If you mess the nib up, there's another nib down there. You can turn it over. But you can fill this with basically anything. So I buy the greens. Actually, I think all of the colors except my lighter colors like this. This is another good base color that I'll use to just kind of draw and figure out my shape. And then I'll draw on top of it. This one is 374, probably my most used light color. But the greens and the blues that I've bought, I've taken different inks of mine, not just their ink, but different inks, and I make my own colors. So this right here, I'm going to show you this color. It's 666, but this is not what the original color looks like. The original color is quite bright, but then I've bought this color. I don't know if this is it, the 374. Is that what I told you? Yes. The 374, or even just a burnt sienna, and I'll add it to the greens. I really like them and have been using them a lot this year. Okay, let's talk about color pencils. I do have some favorites. I'm not going to go into my favorite colors because I'm going to do a whole video on my favorite color pencils because I've been really getting into them, and I definitely have some favorites. So today I just want to basically talk about the brands that I love and maybe a couple favorite colors from those. I've really been enjoying this year these CRETACOLor Mega Color. They're really fat. I like the way I can hold them. This blue one right here, which is the ultramarine, is my favorite. I've just recently lost my little one. It got down to a little nubbin. I think I left it at my mom's house. I love how you can hold them when they do get small. These are the two colors I love the most. This is a permanent red light. You cannot get a better red. It's like a bright orangey red, and it just really pops. Thought I'd grab a sketchbook and show you. Oh, Here's a sketch I did recently, and that's the color there, little bits of it. I absolutely love it. I like a bright orangey red, and sometimes it's hard to find, but that's a good one. Then this ultramarine. It's just like the perfect blue. It has a tint of purple to it, but not too much. I feel like it's kind of just the perfect of perfect blues. Love that. The other brand that I love and have, I think, almost every color that they sell are the Derwent drawing. They're kind of waxy. They go over a lot of things. I think they even go over neo colors. Yeah. And they're kind of dirtied colors, which I love. This one is the brown ochre. And this one is the ivory black. You can tell I've used it a lot. It's a really nice black. It's rich. Kind of has a vintage feel to it, I think. I don't know. I do like it, and I use it quite a bit. So I love that whole range. I also use Luminance a lot. This is my smallest Luminance, therefore definitely my favorite. This is a 719, a big long word, dark something green. Yeah, they should have named that better, but I'll have it linked below. Really, really nice green. If I can only pick one green to take with me, that's it. It's delightful. Absolutely wonderful. I use it just as a dark quite a bit too. But I do have a lot of Luminance colors that I love, but that's just the smallest one and my favorite of all favorites. The other brand that I really like is Prismacolor. I have a lot of these. I love that the whole pencil is the color, and it's usually pretty close to the actual color. This one is Beige Sienna, and I use this one a lot. Even just to draw out something, because it's kind of light. Yeah, I just find it very useful and nice neutral color. I've also recently found a new brand, not a new brand, but it's the Derwent brand, but the Derwent LIGHTFAST. I'm obsessed and in love with these pencils. I've just bought some more to make sure that my obsession is that I like these more than the Luminance. I'm thinking about buying the whole set of these with birthday and Christmas money, but I thought, let me buy just a few more just to make sure. This is one of my favorite colors. It's called Forest. Basically, it's black. There's nothing, like when you hear forest, you think green. There's nothing green about it, but it is a gorgeous black. Maybe it's green. Maybe just think of deep, 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 dark green. Maybe. It's more black than anything. Love it though. I grab for that all the time. That's all the color pencils. I'm gonna do a full color pencil favorites video next year, the beginning of next year. Before we get to gouache and neocolors, I wanted to show you one other random thing that I have here. It looks like I haven't used a lot of it, and it's true I haven't, but every time I pick this up, I'm like, I need to remember to use this. When I first got it, I hated it. It does not go down easily. I like things that go down easily, that you don't have to work really hard, to get it to come out. It's a watercolor stick from Daniel Smith. They're not cheap. I did just order maybe one or two more to see if they're all like this. The reason I ordered this is because the Undersea Green is my favorite watercolor color of Daniel Smith. It's just an amazing green. It granulates great, so I thought, well, I'll try it in this. Every time I use this though, I'm like, that does not have a nice feel about it as it goes down. It's real, I don't know how to explain it. I just don't, it's not like anything else that I've ever used. But because of its not going down nice, you get really nice texture. It's kind of gloopy, goopy. Maybe that's what I'm trying to think of. But what it does do you can wet it, and it's kind of even gloppy when you wet it. But again, because of that, you get really great texture. And I want to use it more, but I just keep forgetting. But look at that. It is the exact color of the undersea green watercolor also. But I do like it in its dry form. And then you can, while that's still wet, go back in. And so because of that, you can get really nice texture. So that is a favorite. I just keep forgetting to use it, or yeah, I'm gonna be using this more though. So there's that. Okay, what else can I tell you about? Let's move on to Neocolors. Neocolors, hands down, have been what I reach for like crazy this year. So I bought the full set when I did buy them. Comes in this big tin. I'm thrilled that I bought the full set. I use so many of the colors, the majority of colors I use. And I take the wrapper off and I break them in thirds when I get them. Again, so I can have a set in the studio, a set to go, and then I always know now when I grab the very last one, I need to order another one of those. I made a color chart when I first got them, and I just have this on my wall so I can refer to it when I get low on a color. I think this was a great purchase, and I would highly recommend the full set. This is my home set. This is my to-go set. I just have it in a box, and they just all are in there. This is not the full set in the box. These are just my favorites. And I am going to show you some of my favorite colors from the set, just the ones that I reach for the most. I made a color chart here of the ones I'm going to show you. These are my favorites with the numbers. I probably should have looked up the names for you too, but I didn't. I'm sorry. I just wanted to show you a couple of them and tell you about why I love them. Let me just put them right here, I think. This is, oh no, losing some favorites. Let me get a different sketchbook. Let me just turn the page here. This green, which is 249, is definitely my favorite green. It's a nice middle green, middle value green, and it's kind of dirty. I absolutely love it. Hands down my favorite. This right here, which is 042, look how dirty mine is. I love that it transfers color when I'm using it. I don't mind that at all, but it's a nice light color, and I reach for that as a white a lot. I never use my whites in Neocolor for some reason. Really, I don't use white in a lot of things. This is another light color that I use. It's nice for skies, but also for things that are white. What color is that one? 003. It's kind of a gray blue. This right here is a gray, but it's very warm. Wonderful gray. I rarely ever use grays in anything, but this I use because it's very warm. Let me show you the blues. This is a nice sky light color. Those are my blues. So the first one is 661. This one right here, the more sky blue, is 161. Then we have 130 and 139. This blue right here is kind of that purpley blue again. Very similar to the CRETACOLor. Ah, pretty much exactly. Yeah, look at that. Very nice. This punchy red, which is 060, I think it's actually an orange, is my punchy red. I couldn't do without that color. Then let me show you my warms. I have a lighter, a little bit darker, and then I have a couple of kind of more orangey colors that I love. Just very natural colors. The first two, let's see, the first one is 035. The second one is 036. This color here, I think it's actually called copper, is 497. And then we have 065 here. And this last russety color is 069. I love that color. I mean, what great tree color. I don't know. I just love it. I absolutely love it. Neo colors, all these Neo colors are Neo color too. I feel like I may have forgotten to say that. And they're water soluble, which is great. You can't, most things won't go over them unless you wet them and let it dry, and then everything will go over it. So you can use them like watercolors basically. So those are my favorites of that. Let me show you some of my favorite gouaches. The main brand of gouache that I buy, like the majority of all my colors, is this, the Holbein gouache. Not acrylic gouache, just regular gouache. I basically buy a simple color palette. If you take my acrylics class, which is all about everything acrylic, acrylic inks, acrylic gouache, all things acrylic, how to store it, how to varnish it, how to mix. But I also share my favorite color mixing and my favorite color palette, which spills over into every medium I use, which is watercolor, anything I use, that color palette is basically it. But these are just some extra favorites. These are the only Winsor and Newton that I buy, but I do have a couple or a few favorites. These two are just, I don't know, they're workhorses. Naples Yellow and Pale Rose Blush. Let me show you those real quick. I usually mix them. I'm not usually using them straight out of the tube. Oh, in fact, it's going to be kind of dirtied up because I will just stick my brush in here. Yeah, you're not getting a real true color there. Whoops, sorry, but that's the basics. The basic color. It doesn't bother me that things get contaminated. I like contamination actually, because that was far more interesting than if it was just, okay, and then if it was just straight out of the tube. But this one here isn't as contaminated. For me, straight out of the tube, that's a little pinky, but when you add some other colors to that to neutralize it, so some green, actually I have a green right here that's moss green. Or I'll add white to these to make it lighter so I don't have just a plain stark white. Let me show you this moss green while I've got it out. Nice neutral green that you can do a lot with. Out of the tube, it's maybe a little bit, just a tiny bit bright. But this is also a color I use a lot, raw umber, which across all my palettes, I have a raw umber because it's a workhorse for dirtying colors. You add a little bit of this to a color and you've got a beautiful dirty color. It's just a way to really instantly neutralize something and not make it so bright. The yellow ochre from the Holbein is great. I use this all the time. This is filthy too. Just a wonderful yellow. And again, if you add a little raw umber to it, dirties it up. Oh, I forgot to show you the raw umber or yellow ochre by itself. And lastly, this aqua blue, I'm not sure I could live without this. It's amazing. I'm very picky about blues, and this is just such an all-around great. Oh, it's kind of contaminated, bummer. Oh no, it's coming out fine. Wonderful sky blue. I do usually dirty it up. It dirties very easily. That may have been too much. Favorite. I buy this a lot. Restocking that a lot. Wow, did we come to the end? I think we came to the end. Wow, okay. I was cleaning up and I found one of my gouaches that I forgot to show you. That's my favorite. What color is that? Gold ochre. The name is deceptive. It's far more of a burnt sienna kind of color, but it's bright and vibrant. I feel like it's something I reach for all the time. A great neutralizer. Yeah, I love it. So somehow that little guy got left out, but there he is, and I love him. Those are my year-long favorites. Things that I'm reaching for constantly, except for this, but I'm going to be reaching for this more. But it's definitely got to be in this year's favorites because I need to use it more. Yeah, I hope that was helpful. I'm gonna have everything, like I said, linked below, and I hope this was helpful for maybe things to be able to put on your Christmas list or to be able to use some of your Christmas money for. Yay, this was so fun. I mean, it's just so fun to share your favorite things with people. And I have a lot of favorite things, but I had to narrow it down. And these are favorites of the favorites. Okay, I will see you back here shortly, guys. Bye.